to the morning show. We're coming to you on WJOP Newburyport at FM 96.3 on Channel 9 and on Newburyport Community Media's YouTube channel at ncmhub.org. I'm your host, Mary Jacobsen, and I'm delighted to welcome to today's show Jason Iannuzzi, who's the new artistic director for Cantemus Chamber Music Chorus. Cantemus has developed a loyal following on the North Shore, and its singers and musicians hail from 23 different communities in the area, including Newburyport. They're launching their 41st season with their new artistic director, Jason, who's here today to talk about their exciting holiday program, Old World, New Worlds, which will be performed in Newburyport on Saturday, December 3rd at 7:30 p.m. at Belleville Congregational Church at 300 High Street. There will also be a performance on Sunday, the 4th, at First Church in Swampscott at 4 p.m. Jason, congratulations on becoming artistic director, and welcome to the morning show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for this opportunity to introduce myself to your loyal audience.
It is totally my pleasure, Jason. Let me tell you a little bit about Jason. He earned a bachelor's in music from Westminster Choir College and a master's in conducting from Carnegie Mellon University. He has an extensive resume of choral conducting experience ranging from festival choruses to opera and musical theater to high school chorus programs, including the programs he's currently directing at Lexington High School. Jason, rather than list your extensive and impressive resume, I thought I'd ask you to talk about one or two of these conducting experiences that you remember most fondly or that really shaped your approach to conducting.
Sure thing. As you mentioned, I did my master's work at Carnegie Mellon under Robert Page. Bob Page, of course, was a force of nature. And honestly, there's not a day I step onto a podium that I don't think about Bob or have him in my ear, either goading me on or perhaps chiding me, depending on the day. He was a very, very important mentor to me, and so many things about our time together have stuck with me over the years. In particular, his manner of working with choruses and preparing choruses for performance, whereby he would sort of draw back the curtain to the inner workings of the music and allow the singers an opportunity to participate in the inner workings of the music. This served two purposes, I think. First, to sort of elevate the quality of conversation you might begin with a singer about the music, to really make them informed performers. And secondly, in understanding the underpinnings of the music, whether it's the way a particular harmony is structured or the phrasing, the phrasal structure, and so on and so forth, really allows the performers to become, co-experts in the work along with the conductor, and really brings their performance to the next level. The second thing I would talk about as a sort of formative experience, I think my sort of current day job, my most longstanding gig as the choral director at Lexington High School. That's a wonderful, wonderful place to be making music. And we've had some absolutely terrific experiences together over these past 14 years. Over the 14 years of my tenure, I've really come to deeply value the idea of building community and what that means. And of course, the community means the students in the program, my fellow teachers, the administrators in the building, district leaders. But really, the focus of community is what happens in the four walls of the rehearsal space. And that's something that everyone in that rehearsal room, takes a part in building and keeping safe, if you will. And, that doesn't happen overnight. I really feel that a chorus is going to sing at their very best when there is a sort of love, mutual respect, and trust in the room. And that's not just a respect from conductor to singer and vice versa, but among the singers themselves. Singing is intensely personal. And so you're literally putting a piece of yourself out there into the universe for other people around you to hear, and becoming part of a total sound, and so on and so forth. So I've really found that when folks are feeling comfortable and feeling connected to one another, they're making their very best music. And so as I've come into the door as a new guy at Cantemus, again, like I said, that doesn't happen just overnight, but it's my goal to build that sort of relationship with the singers and among the singers in the choir, and to think, what parts of my own experience and personality can I pepper into the mix in order to make our experience extraordinary.
Well, Jason, you put that really beautifully. I love what you say about the power of mentorship and its presence, ever presence with you. But I particularly love the way that you talk about love and trust and respect and the importance of community building and what happens in the room. I sing in a chorus myself, and I don't think I've ever heard it put better. So thank you for that. It's very inspiring to hear you talk about it that way. Well, let's talk about the concert that's coming up, Jason. The centerpiece of the concert will be Britain's classic, A Ceremony of Carols. What makes this, do you think, so timelessly popular with audiences?
Well, naming a favorite composer is akin to naming your favorite child. It's pretty much impossible. But I think if I were hard pressed, I would say that Benjamin Britten is certainly among my very favorite composers, in particular for vocal music. He just has a way of writing for the voice that's second to none. He has a very unique harmonic style and a way of shaping lines that goes hand in hand with the text. And in fact, some people consider Britten to be the greatest setter of the English language since Henry Purcell, and that's certainly saying something. So I think there's amazing craft in the work that people recognize as they sit down. And of course, you must know a little bit about the story of how the work came to be when Benjamin Britten, during the Second World War, was returning to England on a boat trip. He stopped off in Halifax, and in the interim, he went to a bookstore and found this tiny volume of medieval poetry. And he was just taken by the poems. He thought they were really beautiful, and he thought there were possibly music in them. And on his 40-day or so journey, he set this, in his head to this marvelous music. And I think the work at once connects with the sort of medieval pageant tradition. And there's something about the Old English, and there's something about his use of older elements like extensive use of church modes in the work, use of plain chant in the first and last movement. I think that makes the piece feel very timeless and as if you're connecting to another worldly quality. But at the same time, the music, which is at times exuberant and at other times, quite mysterious and reflective, I feel like it sounds modern and fresh to our ears, even all these years later. So I think this particular combination gives the piece a sort of transportive quality. When you sit in the audience for about 25 minutes, letting all these texts and letting the stories and the music wash over you, you're truly feel like you're transported someplace else. And for those who celebrate the Christmas holiday, I think it's really sort of gets them in the spirit, as it were. In addition, he wrote, in addition to the marvelous choral writing, he wrote a magnificent harp part. In fact, professional harpists, this is their bread and butter piece, and they remark often at how beautifully idiomatic the writing is, that he's really able to take advantage of all the different colors and all the different sort of special effects that a harp can do without resorting to something that sounds gimmicky. So it's very convincing and very beautiful. And we're very fortunate for this particular concert to be hiring in a special guest artist, Miss Lishan Tan. Miss Tan is a doctoral student at New England Conservatory. In fact, the first doctoral student to graduate, or who will graduate, with a harp degree. And she is Singaporean in background and splits her time between Singapore and Boston. She's played in a number of important ensembles in both cities, including the famous Silk Road Ensemble, famous for their collaborations with Yo-Yo Ma. So she's a very talented, technically talented and elegant player. And she's made her career both as a player and also as an arranger. She's really states that her object is to sort of push the confines of what people think of when they think of harp. And so in her arrangements, she's embraced source material from Debussy all the way to Metallica, and she does a marvelous job. So I think our audience will really enjoy getting to hear and see her at work.
Yeah, I mean, that's range.
Oh, yes.
People don't think of Metallica, they don't think harp.
No, probably not.
And I think transportive is a wonderful adjective to use, and you've really described the source of the magic. And I love the story that you told about how Britten came to compose the piece. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Jason. I appreciate it. Well, the theme for the concert is Old World, New Worlds. And I was hoping that you could talk to us about what made you select that theme and how the programming will reflect that.
Sure. I mean, I come in to take the helm of Cantemus, keenly aware that I'm inheriting a 40-year history,
Yeah.
and in particular, taking over the group from a much beloved and very talented director, Jane Frank. And so I'm putting together this first program, which is traditionally often has an element of the holidays or whatnot in it, and trying to have a eye on transition. And I'm trying to signal to the choir and to the audience that their traditions and what they've done in the past is valuable and heralded, and thus the sort of old world connection. And at the same time, I'm trying to honor the wishes of the chorus as expressed through the board of directors strategic plan, which has to do with sort of widening the tent in terms of repertoire and building diversity of membership, building diversity of audience, and so on and so forth. And so to me, old world, new worlds lends itself to this idea of acknowledging the cornerstone of our repertoire as the great canon, but also opening the door wide for some additional things. And not just new world as in the new world, the Americas, although that's certainly part of it, but new worlds suggesting that, we're going to explore perhaps a different sonic world. We're going to explore some different themes and so on and so forth than what the choir may have done in the past. And this is a choir that's well known and had built a very pristine, sort of straight tone English cathedral timbre, which lends itself to some repertoire very well. Certainly the Benjamin Britten, for instance. However, we're finishing the concert with a gospel-inspired arrangement of an African-American spiritual, and just to lay that sound under that piece wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. So I've been very heartened that the choir's been quite receptive to a big wider palette of sounds that are all to be applied appropriately to the repertoire and sort of stretching ourselves in that way. That's been very, very fun work to do. So that's kind of the gist of Old World, New Worlds. I think the staid audience members who've come year after year will find things in it they absolutely can say, oh, that's a very Cantemus sort of piece. And there'll be some new things as well that people will say, oh, this is something a little bit different, and hopefully there'll be something there for everyone.
Yeah, it sounds as though it would literally be a bridging concert, in other words, Jason. And I love the phrase new sonic worlds. It's just kind of exciting to hear. And it sounds like it's going to be an extraordinary concert. Well, I'm curious to find out, directing Cantemus is new for you. What are you enjoying the most about taking up the baton with Cantemus?
Sure. I mean, I mentioned earlier that my day job is teaching high school students, and that's wonderful and deeply fulfilling work. But what I'm really loving about working with Cantemus is, as people with a little more lived experience than the 15-year, 16-year-olds that I work with day in, day out, they're really able to find sort of emotional resonance with the music, a deeper resonance and a deeper kind of emotional touch point than your average 15-year-old might. For instance, we're singing a tune which is a setting of a lovely E.E. Cummings poem called Little Tree. And it's really a nostalgia piece, and sort of looking at this beautiful moment that's essentially like captured inside of a snow globe. And while my students would be able to appreciate that and could say, yeah, I know what it was like when I was a little kid, ... It's a lot different when you have folks, again, with a little more lived experience who can really dig into the meaning behind the piece and so on and so forth. That's one thing. Another thing I mentioned in my response about Old World, New Worlds is I'm really excited by the initiative of the choir toward diversity of repertoire, and doing it in a way that's not throwing out the baby with the bathwater. I really don't believe in, well, now we're going to sing all this new repertoire and everything we sang before we shouldn't be doing. I think we should embrace all the repertoire and just make that tent larger. And I'm excited to enter upon that journey with the choir over the coming years. And then finally, I would say, Cantemus has identified itself in its kind of source documents and whatnot as a group that's interested in lifelong learning and is really interested in continual growth. And that's exciting to me as a teacher conductor, to come in and think, what can I add to the mix? They're already doing things at such a high level. What are some things that I can contribute to them in order to continue to move that ball forward, as it were, or continue to expand their palette of skills? And their openness to that has been really terrific thus far. And I'm just looking forward to where we go.
Well, it sounds like a very exciting time for the chorus, Jason, with lots of new opportunities, new horizons, and new sonic worlds. And also it clearly is an intergenerational bridge for you too, in terms of your work life, from the enthusiasm of the 15-year-olds to the greater wisdom and depth of experience to people of a different generation. It it sounds like an extraordinarily exciting concert, and also an extraordinarily exciting time for Cantemus and for you. So thank you for those descriptions. I really appreciate it. Well, Jason, it's time to ask you more about how can people learn more about the concert? How can people get tickets?
Sure. Well, people can learn about our concert, including reading program notes if they want to do a little bit of a deeper dive, by visiting our website, which is cantemus.org. Everything's laid out there in terms of ticket purchasing, which could be done online, that you also can purchase tickets right at the door. So if someone has a last-minute schedule change and finds themselves in Newburyport on Saturday the 3rd or in Swampscott on Sunday the 4th and want to drop into the concert, they should feel absolutely welcome to do so. We'd love to see them there.
And who would want to miss the chance for a transportive experience after all?
That's right.
Thank you so much, Jason. I really, really appreciate the time you spent. And I love talking to you. You're very eloquent about choral music and about choral conducting, and also very eloquent about the power of community and its connection to music. So thank you so much for that. It really is inspiring to hear you talk. So thank you very much. I've really enjoyed talking to you. And that's it for today, everybody. Join us next week at Thursday at 9 for the morning show. Till then, take care and farewell.